What's up everybody and welcome to the Sons of Sever YouTube channel where there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear. Today we are doing a bit of a different type of review for you. We're going to be comparing two inflatable paddle boards head to head. It's going to be one of our first of many comparison videos. So today we are talking about the Freein 10'6" inflatable stand-up paddleboard Kayak Hybrid, as well as the Retrospec Weekender 2. Now, in comparing these two boards head to head, we do want to acknowledge right at the beginning here that it isn't exactly an apples to apples comparison. The Freein board is a Kayak Hybrid, so it's going to have some differences and some extra accessories because of that. The Retrospec is just an inflatable paddleboard. So like I said, we do want to acknowledge that up front. They do have a lot of things in common, however, which I think makes them a good comparison. Both boards are very beginner friendly. Both boards are very budget friendly. And so hopefully we'll be able to help you to decide, maybe if you want to steer towards a Kayak Hybrid, if that's something that you're looking at, or if just having a normal stand-up paddleboard is good enough for you. We hope to be able to help you make that decision. All right, so the way that we're going to break this video down is in two different sections. I'll go ahead and send it over to Chris so that he can talk about the different specifications for each board, and you can see those side by side, head to head. He'll send it back to me so that I can talk about the performance of each board and our general experience and how we felt about each of them.
I wanted to go over the specs of the boards because, as has been mentioned, they're not exactly apples to apples, but if you are looking at the specs on their websites, they may be closer than you think, more related to each other, because they have a lot of things in common. Some things that are exactly the same, some things that are just slightly different. So let's talk about some of the more important ones to begin with, and then we'll go over just about everything as far as the specs go. They are both 10'6" in length. They are both close to 30 inches in width. The Freein board is 31, the Retrospec is 30, and they are both 6 inches thick. So they are almost identical dimensionally. There's a 1 pound discrepancy in their weight, the Retrospec board being the lighter at 17 pounds and the Freein at 18 pounds. Their weight limits are pretty close as well. The Freein board is 286 while the Retrospec is 275. The PSI ranges for pumping them up are pretty close. The Freein is 12 to 14 with a maximum of 15 PSI, and the Retrospec is 10 to 12 with a maximum of 13. Some features that they have that are similar but different: they both have a containment storage area at the front in the form of bungees. The Freein has a 4-point bungee, while the Retrospec gives you a little bit more space with a 6-point bungee. They both come with patch kits. They both come with paddles, although they are somewhat different. I actually think that the Retrospec paddle is a little bit more higher quality, but the Freein board, being also a kayak, comes with your traditional paddleboard paddle, but you can take the handle off at one end and replace it with another fin in order to do the classic kayaking motion. Obviously, with that kayaking in mind, there are D-rings towards the back of the board that you can attach the kayak seat to. The Retrospec board obviously does not have those D-rings. One thing that I thought was really cool that the Retrospec board came with was a dry bag for your phone that is clear on both sides, so it still allows you to use your phone and take videos with it or pictures. Kind of a nice little added touch there. They both have very nicely textured decks, not slippery at all, and they both have removable fins, although their setups are a little bit different. The Freein board has 2 smaller fixed fins, and then the large fin is removable, while the Retrospec board actually has all 3 fins being removable. That definitely makes a difference in the packability, and the Retrospec board is significantly more packable. Those are all of the most important specs and features that I think need to be mentioned. The very last thing that I want to talk about is the pricing, because that's going to be an interesting conversation. On the Freein website, if you go there right now, the board is listed for $299, so $300. Although that is showing as its sale price, it's usually $469. Meanwhile, the Weekender 2 from Retrospec comes in at $349.99. $299 is the only price that I have seen for the Freein board since we have been working with that board. So I don't know if that actually is a sale price or if that's just never going to change. Either way, Freein did end up supplying us with a discount code. So if you're interested in checking out this specific board or any of their other offerings, there is a link down in the description to take you over to their website, and then you can use Sons of Sever at checkout to save yourself 10% on top of what you're already saving just by shopping with them in the first place. With all that out of the way, I'm going to send things back over to Eric to talk about the performance of the boards actually out on the water. But first, I want to talk to you about some of our affiliates, one of which you will have seen in some of the B-roll footage of this video, and that is Vibram 5 Fingers. We have really enjoyed Vibram 5 Fingers because in our opinion, their shoes are about as barefoot as you can get, and I really like this one. This is their V Aqua. So if you are a person who likes to wear water shoes when you go out, I do when I'm going out to lakes or other natural water environments, because you never know what you're going to step on. You can't always see where you're stepping or what's underfoot. Not only that, but this just makes all these slippery surfaces significantly more grippy. The grip along the bottom of this guy is fantastic. Obviously, these things are going to be stupid light and flexible, very thin, and they just do a really good job. I also think that they look relatively good as well. The other affiliate that I want to talk about is our go-to shoe company for hiking shoes, and that is Lem's Shoes. This is their Outlander, which is the most rugged and just fantastic all-around hiking boot that is out there on the market. And the nice thing about it is it has all of those barefoot specs that you want. So it's zero drop. It has a relatively wide toe box compared to traditional hiking boots, and it has that flexible sole that you want that allows your feet to do what they're supposed to do. Lems has a whole bunch of different offerings other than just hiking shoes. They have a couple fantastic pairs of hiking boots though, so if you're in the market for that, especially gearing up for the coming winter, then go down to the link in the description and shop around for Lem's shoes. Now let's pass things over to Eric. He's going to talk to you about the performance of these boards.
Alright, so let's jump into comparing the performance of each of these boards. The first thing that we're going to talk about is the stability. Obviously, for a beginner paddleboarder, that is something that's very important. Being able to get out on the water and feeling stable on the board. And we found that both of these do really well, but I am going to give it to the Retrospec. It just barely inches out the Freein. So I think that the reason because of that is because it's 1 inch wider, and with that 1 inch extra width, you get just a tiny bit more stability. Again, they both do a really good job. I don't think you're going to go wrong with each one if you're just considering the stability of each board. The next thing that we want to talk about is tracking. So how straight does the board go? And both of these do a really good job tracking. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in my other experience with the paddleboard here. I got a Costco board. It's the Body Glove Performer 11. They come out with a new iteration every few years, so it's been updated a few times. But the one that I have has 3 small fixed fins on the bottom of the board, and it does not track well at all. I can go 1, maybe 2 paddles on one side, and then I have to switch and go 1, 2 paddles on the other side because the nose goes back and forth so much. But each of these boards tracks very, very well, and that has to do with the fins that they have. Each of them has 2 small fins and 1 big center fin, and that big center fin really helps it to go straight. I can sit there on just one side and go 6 to 8 strokes before I need to switch to the other to keep me going straight. So both of these track very, very well. So after talking about the tracking of the boards, let's talk about the maneuverability. They both go straight really well, but what if you want to get a quick turn out of them? And I think that both of these, with all 3 fins installed and ready to go, lack a little bit in the maneuverability. In my experience, I felt that the Retrospec actually lost out a little bit on that as well. The Freein is just a little bit more maneuverable than the Retrospec is. I can dig that paddle in and get a turn a little bit easier on the Freein board than I can on the Retrospec. And the final thing that we can talk about here is the speed of the boards, and in our experience so far, the Retrospec has been a little bit faster than the Freein has. I'm not 100% sure why that is, to be honest. It could be the paddle difference, which I'm gonna get into in just a minute here. And it could just be our experience difference. I've been paddleboarding for around 3 to 4 years now, and Chris is more of a beginner to it. And so maybe it was just me being able to catch up with him. But we did find that the Retrospec board cut through the water a little bit better than the Freein board did. So overall experience with each of these boards has been very positive, especially from a beginner standpoint and from a budget standpoint. I will say that the Retrospec board feels a little more premium than the Freein does. When we were unpacking it and everything, it just seemed a little bit nicer. It seems a little more well-made than the Freein board. When it comes to the paddle especially, I do not like the Freein paddle at all. And I think that that's because it has to be a hybrid paddle. It's something that's got to work for stand-up paddling as well as kayaking, and they're just a little bit different. So to make that middle ground, they probably had to make some compromises with it. I don't like that paddle. And I feel like that's probably part of why it doesn't perform quite as well, in my opinion. The Retrospec paddle feels a lot nicer. I think it goes through the water a lot nicer. There was no, confusion about which way to put it into the water, which if you've seen our review on the Freein board, I talked about that there. When it comes to the fins, I love the fact that with the Retrospec board, every one of the fins is removable. That means that you can pack it up that much smaller. It's really impressive, the backpack that thing came in. It's really skinny, and maybe it's just a little bit taller, but it just feels nice. It just feels kind of premium. It feels small for a stand-up paddleboard, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that you can take out all 3 fins and roll it up really, really tight. With the Freein, you can only take out that big middle fin. The other 2 are fixed and still there, so you can't roll that up as well as the Retrospec board can. As far as installing the fins goes, it's kind of a toss-up, to be honest. The Freein board, you twist in after you clip it in, and we've found that actually sometimes once you get out of the water, that thing has tightened. Maybe it just swells or whatever. I'm not 100% sure why, but Chris has had to get his multi-tool a few times, and we've had to really go at it to get it to loosen up. With the Retrospec board, it has these little clips that go in, and as long as you push down on the right part to get that clip to loosen, then it works pretty slick. We really like those fins. The pumps are almost identical. The gauges read just a little bit different because of the PSI needs of each board, but they both have, an inflate side, and that's got 2 settings on it to where on both the up and the downstroke, you're gonna get air, or you can pull out this little plug, and now it's just on the downstroke, so it's not as hard. And then they both have a deflate setting as well, which we really enjoy.
We hope this comparison video was helpful for you. We really wanted to highlight the differences of the Freein board compared to another kind of board that is out there. While we definitely think that the Retrospec board is a little bit higher quality, I think that the Freein board has plenty of quality to offer of its own, and it's definitely a little bit more versatile. These are all important things to consider when you are comparing different products in order to figure out which one you want to buy. I think both of these boards have a lot to offer, especially the fact that both of them are ready to go right out of the box. You could take the sealed box from your front porch after it's delivered to you, down to the beach, open it up, pull everything out, and be out on the water in minutes. I think the fact that you can do that with either of these boards adds a lot of value. We are planning a more in-depth review of the Retrospec board for the future, so look out for that dedicated review coming down the pipeline. If you liked this video, we would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. There are a handful of places where you can follow along with us for more content. The one that's going to give you the most up-to-date information on the products that we are working with for this channel is the Sons of Sever Instagram. We are also on a platform called Strava, where we can log our activity and show what kinds of gear we're using while we're doing that activity. You can follow along with us there. Eric has his own YouTube channel called A Pilot's Life for Me that focuses on some really cool landscape drone videography, and I have my own YouTube channel and Instagram page under the name SeverShoots that focuses on gun industry and preparedness reviews. We're glad you joined us for this video. We appreciate your view, and as always, we will catch you in the mountains, or for this one, out on the water.